we took two of the boys to live with us for, I don't know, maybe they lived with us for 2 years, I'm not too sure. Because her husband, he just kind of disappeared from the face of the earth.
Aunt Otilia's?
Aunt Otilia's husband, yeah. Trying to think, what was her last name? Clark, I think. But there was, I was small at the time and remember hearing the talk that they thought he got mixed up with some gang from Madison, I think is what they thought. And because he just flattened out disappeared. I think he probably was killed or something, and never showed up again. Never, but they never found, nobody ever knew what happened to him, ever, as far as I know. And I know one of her daughters was named Grace, my cousin through her. Because he met Kenseth, the racer, from the Jarlsberg family, and Edith Jarlsberg married Kenseth, and Edith was Olaf's daughter. She was the only girl in the family of, I don't know how many children they had, but there were at least 6 boys, I think. So there must, I think, about 7 children in that family. And because now Matt has, one of his girls is named Grace.
Oh, okay.
And I was trying to think here what. Oh, and then Martha, the blonde, she married a Slindy. Last name was Slindy, and they have a son named Jarl Slindy. They took the Jarl from the Jarlsberg, and so it's Talon, king. I mean, Jarl is king, and Berg is Talon. That's what Jarlsberg means, is Kingstown. And so they gave that Jarl name to him for his first name. He was Jarl Slindy, and he had red hair, like his aunt did, but his mother was a blonde. We used to see them off and on through the years, all of them. And then Grandpa, in the very end there, when he wasn't running his store anymore, after he married, after my grandma died, he lived by himself, and he'd come up seemed like almost every Sunday for dinner. He'd be up at the Seversons, the Grandma Severson, because she had some of the family was there, and then he'd always be invited too, because I know he always gave the prayer before we ate, and I was just a small kid then, and as I said, it was 5 when she died, and the kids are always so hungry, because I can remember we'd think, is Grandpa ever going to quit praying so we can eat? But he had good prayers. And then he found a widow lady whose husband had died, and they got married, and she was very nice. I liked her. She liked me too. We got along just fine, and she was the one that was there then when Myrtle and I both stayed there during the winter months, And then when I had my 16th birthday, there was a World's Fair down in Chicago, and she had children from her first marriage that lived in Chicago. So she was going to go down and go to the World's Fair, and then she asked me to go along with her as a birthday present for my 16th birthday. So we spent, I don't know if it was a week or 2 down there in Chicago, as we stayed with her family down there, and that was a really nice time. And of all the grandchildren, I thought it was so nice, she chose me to go down there for that, and I enjoyed it a lot. But Grandma liked everything about the hospital and operations and all that stuff, and they had a lot of that at that fair, I suppose they always do. Because I know I had to go through all of that with her and look and that all over, because she was so interested in that type of thing. And of course there were so many interesting things at that fair, and so many other things that were, to do down there that were a lot of fun too. And there were relatives of ours down there too, Aldersons, because then we went to see some of the Aldersons. they were relatives of the Charlesburgs. So we were there for, I don't remember how, I guess it was kind of an early dinner or something, or that day, and then we went to the World, I went to, not the World's Fair with them, we went to, they had one of these things like a, what do they call them, where they have things going on all the time, all kinds of crazy things, like a circus almost, you know, but it is, I can't think of the name of the place that I went to, no, that was so many years ago. It was a big place, and they had all kinds of rides, roller coaster rides, and all stuff like that. It was just a huge place. And one of the boys from that family took me there. And, well, for one thing, he took me on the roller coaster. He took me on a little one first, and that was fun. And then he took me on one of the really big ones, and I almost died. You think you're going head first out, and then you think you're falling out backwards. They were awful. And then we were in some crazy building where you go through and you sit down in a chair, and then all of a sudden it collapses and you're sliding down a long slide. And have you been in things like that?
Maybe
So, all kinds of crazy stuff. And I know I came out of one of these things and just up on my feet and walking again, and I got out into an open area, and there's a good, nice big light above you and everything. You get out there, and the wind is coming from below, and I was wearing a circular skirt, and everything goes up over my head, you know. Never have forgotten that one. Oh, it was crazy.
That sounds more like the fairs we have today. Like,
Yeah.
not that particular thing, but, you know, all the rides and things.
Yeah.
But the World's Fair, it sounds like, was different. It was more like a display of things, huh?
Well, they had a lot of big displays there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, a lot of interesting displays of all sorts of things at that fair at that time, that World's Fair. And but this was something too that was there all the time. It was a big area that had all these roller coasters.
Like an amusement park?
Pardon?
Like an amusement park?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't recall the name of that anymore, but I may have it written down someplace, but I don't recall it right now. But I know it was a lot of fun, you know. It was crazy.
Yeah.
But fun.
Yeah.
And then, and I know I take these, one of her daughters has little children, and my hair was real blonde, and always was blonde all the time. And it was real blonde. I had these little blonde kids taking them out walking around a couple of blocks there where they lived, and people would stop to look at the kid. Oh, how cute! And are you the mother? No, I'm not the mother. And they thought sure, you know, because I was so blonde and they were so blonde, and because I know I got a kick out of that too. I was 16th birthday, saying I was going into my senior year in high school, and I graduated while I was still 16 from high school. I guess that's about the end of that one, but she was such a nice person.